Keep me on my toes.
Yes, I am. And joining me for another special episode is Luke.
Hello,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas, Luke.
Merry Christmas, Don.
How was Thanksgiving?
It was great. I ate a ton of food.
That's good. That's very good. I didn't get the big turkey like I normally did, but I did spend it with family, so that was nice.
That's the important thing. Spending it with family.
Now, I'm fairly sure up there in your attic, it's already a little warm up there, so if you want to get rid of the cap there, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, my nice Christmas hat, because the movie we're talking about today is a Christmas movie. So
it absolutely is a Christmas movie. If there's ever a doubt about it being a Christmas movie, listen to the very first soundtrack title in it, because it starts with a Christmas classic, it ends with a Christmas classic,
and there's Christmas music all through it.
So without any further ado, let's go ahead and watch our trailer for this movie.
He's a criminal's worst nightmare. A cop who enjoys the danger.
No guns, no jiu-jitsu, just bring him down.
Do you really want to jump? Well, then that's fine with me. Come on.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait a minute. What the...
He was ready to retire. Now, he's gonna wish he had.
Gun! Oh!
Raj, meet your new partner.
New partner? Too old for this.
If these guys can just stand each other.
What you got in there?
4-inch Smith?
A lot of old timers carry those.
The bad guys don't stand a chance.
Don't kill anybody. Don't kill anybody. I'm too old for this. Are you as good as you say you are? Nobody can touch me. Suppose we better register you as a lethal weapon. You ever met anybody you didn't kill?
Well, I haven't killed you yet.
Yes, we are going to talk about the 80s classic Lethal Weapon, the very first one. Now, I do want to point out, we both, ironically, we both watched the director's cut.
Which is way better. That's how it's supposed to be.
It absolutely is. Because it does have one additional scene that theatrical audiences have never seen. And I have a special bonus for you at the very end, which is the alternate ending to this very first movie.
And I've never seen the alternate ending.
So I'm personally very thrilled to be able to say I'm going to show you that.
That's exciting, because even though I've got the director's cut, it's probably somewhere in my DVD and I've never watched it. So
I can believe it. So I'm just curious, did you ever watch the Lethal Weapon TV show?
So I did start watching that, and I enjoyed it. It was actually pretty good, I thought, on Fox. And the Riggs character I thought was very good, and same with Murtaugh. They played him a little differently than Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, but I think they needed to. But it was fairly good. I caught myself watching multiple episodes. So
I can say I watched all 3 seasons. Kind of one of our first openings to really seeing Riggs after starting the movie is, well, again, we're talking about the director's cut, so it's
right, yeah,
the first sniper scene, which it shows how much Riggs doesn't care about his own person. He
right.
just goes gung-ho straight into things. And I want to show a little clip of that. So let me get that going here for us.
What do you got here?
Sniper, sir.
Sniper, what's it? You got a SWAT team coming in?
No ETA.
Yeah? Well, I'll see you around. How good a shot is this guy?
What do you mean?
I mean, does he shoot at random? Does he shoot specific kids? He missed one.
He shot at random.
Did you make the weapon?
Automatic and
You got
loud.
hostages or anything like that up there?
Not that we know of.
What do you only do, kids?
Shut up!
But you're good.
So the only reason I can see why they cut that out of the movie is because it had to do with killing kids. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's why they cut it out, because it's a great scene. I mean, it just shows how nuts he is. And I mean, walking up there and just taking that guy out, it's freaking bad.
Yeah. And this is before we see how talented Riggs is.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the, the police station shooting range.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that scene is just, I think it's such a cool scene. And last night after I watched it again, I kind of forgot that I was watching the director's cut because I watch that all the time. And then I was talking to my wife about it. And she's like, what are you talking about? So I think there's a lot of people that have never seen that scene.
And yeah, I think you're absolutely right that because of the nature of the kids, which also makes me think about another upcoming scene much later in the book, or not the book, but in this movie that involves kids.
Right.
Which, considering everything that's been going on around the country this year, it's kind of funny that the scene that I'm thinking about right now, and I can tell by the look on your face, you know exactly which scene I'm talking about.
Yeah. The dialogue from that scene, I'm like going, oh boy.
Yeah. And again, this movie came out in 1987.
Right.
So here we are. Yes, it's still 2020.
Yeah.
Excuse me. As much as we'd like it to be any other year right now.
Yeah.
But basically, after this, the next thing we see our character Riggs is doing a narcotic undercover bust.
Yep. And so the original movie, that's the first, like, I mean, you see him when he's in his trailer and stuff in the original movie at the beginning, you know, and then like eating dog biscuits and stuff and getting mad, and then he leaves.
Okay, hold on. Dog biscuits don't come into the series until Lethal Weapon 3.
I was watching it.
It's a cookie. It's a cookie.
Is it a cookie? I was like, is that a dog? Is that where it started? I thought that's where it started.
No.
Like, because I couldn't tell, so I thought that was a dog biscuit. Well, anyway,
I had the same reaction when I see him kind of.
We kind of looked at it,
but it's round, so I'm going to go with it's a cookie.
Just a terrible cookie.
Just a terrible cookie, and then he finds an alternative much later in the series.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, he stopped smoking by eating dog biscuits.
So they cut our whole sniper scene out that we just saw, and it goes right from like Riggs in his trailer to the tree scene.
Truly,
right?
It starts off with the high rise and the presumed hooker, whatever, lady doing the swan dive off of the 27th floor or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
And then
you go to Murtaugh's house.
You go to Murtaugh, who has a beard, which I forgot about the beard until I rewatched it because I'm so used to, Murtaugh always having just the mustache.
What I thought was weird, and maybe this was an 80s thing, is how Murtaugh's taking a bath. And, it's like, okay, like.
Yeah, that was a little weird. Okay. It's one thing for, every once in a while, a good soap probably does feel good. But it was his birthday.
It was his birthday, I suppose. Yeah, that's true.
So maybe it was a special birthday soap before he goes to work.
Yeah, something like that. And then the whole family, mom and all the kids busted on him.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an unusual scene. I was like, okay.
It was definitely unusual. I think what made it even more awkward and unusual who has a full-sized mirror next to the tub?
Yeah. Only in California, man.
Okay, I can probably accept that.
It's an LA thing, is what I'm guessing. So
Now, one thing, anybody who's really watched the 4 movies, Murtaugh is always in the middle of some room getting remodeled.
oh yeah, something's always. I think the kitchen was being remodeled in this one part.
The
of it.
kitchen was being remodeled. You had some bare studs and exposed wiring.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it later gets a new front door and a new window.
Oh yeah.
So, but we're jumping way ahead in our
I know, right?
story.
Yeah. We jump back and we're jumping around there. So,
next thing we know, Murtaugh's coming down. He's shaved off the beard, kept the stash.
yeah.
We obviously learn Murtaugh likes bacon.
Yep.
Not a big shocker. Who doesn't like bacon?
Yeah. Everyone loves bacon.
But we do hear that the first time that Roger's old friend from Vietnam era is calling him.
Yeah.
And then the next time we see Roger, he's rolling up on the scene of our swan diving princess and realizes that's his friend's daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. Amanda Hunsaker. Roger Hunsaker was the guy's name. Yeah. It realizes that connects everything that she's his daughter and stuff. Yeah.
And then we meet our only witness to the swan dive, Trixie.
Yeah. The lady of the evening.
All dressed up and no one to I will finish the line.
Yeah, all dressed up and no one to
and really that's the only true screen time for that character.
It is, yeah. I mean, they talk about her later, but that's her only true screen time.
So then we find Martin doing his undercover bust, and I know multiple times of viewing this throughout the years that this scene is in even the televised version. So let's jump to how Martin asked for a Christmas tree.
All right, congratulations.
Maybe a nice 6-footer to put it under, huh?
That look on Mel's face as he's doing that final bust, that almost rabid dog.
Yeah, it looks real too. I mean, he looks nuts. And at this time, Mel Gibson hadn't gone too crazy yet, as far as we know. But this, he's just, I mean, yeah, so intense. And the other actor that's sitting there looking at him is just got the look of fear in his face. After, I mean, who grabs the gun and headbutts you and starts acting, shoves it back in your face.
Now, I will say this is our first introduction in the Lethal Weapon series to Riggs' love of the Three Stooges.
Oh yeah. So when he sits there and goes, whoop, 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 yeah, that cracks me up every time, and I just love that they don't have to say it. You know it, right? When he starts slapping the guys.
Yeah. So if you haven't noticed, this month we are going to have Christmas movies that you're not expecting us to say are Christmas movies.
Yeah.
So
you know what? One thing about when he's back in the trailer after he gets to TV, I mean, there's a pretty intense scene there where he's sitting there contemplating suicide.
Yeah.
And it's super intense. It just shows you, I think, that battle he has right now with, being this, and I think they're trying to show too, like from coming back from Vietnam even and stuff. And his wife dies. And so he's having battle with that, but he's so good at, doing what he does. Yet, yeah, I mean, it's just, you can just tell there's this battle in his head, and it's very intense and very well done.
Well, remember at this point in '87, we weren't really talking about PTSD. We weren't really talking about
Well,
taking care of our veterans.
well, mental health issues were, swept under the rug back then, kind of.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the forefront. So, I mean, this really shows. I mean, they're breaking some ground here, showing the whole, suicide and contemplating and the struggle he's got back and forth throughout the whole movie. Actually, this is just the first
absolutely, and I think most people saw it more as his struggle with the loss of his wife, which we find out very shortly after this scene. She just died in a car accident 11 months ago.
Right.
Now, we don't know if in the movie timeline whether she was pregnant or not.
Right.
I don't think that's ever revealed in the movies, but that was a pivotal plot point they used in the TV series.
TV series, yeah.
So, and you're probably right. It's kind of weird looking back at it now with everything that we know about PTSD.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you. I think, back in the 80s, it was more of just, you see that struggle with just, his wife and stuff. But really all that stuff is post-traumatic stress syndrome. I mean, having his wife killed right then. But I think part of that too, now looking at it now, is probably some from the war and just, his job. Police officers have PTSD, and it's just, now that we know more about that, it's in the forefront. So watching it now, I really think about that. So,
and I know you've done at least a couple of those 22 push-ups a day. Just to bring awareness.
To, the suicide, veteran suicide and stuff, because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
They actually have a thing called Mission 22, and my wife, who's a social worker, is a big advocate of that they're trying to stop, former veterans from contemplating or actually, going through with that. So, it's a big deal. So, in this, it kind of fits into the next scene I think you're going to bring up in the police station where they first meet.
All right, fine. Jumping ahead.
I'm sorry. I thought that was our next scene. I was trying to.
No, it is. It totally is. I'm just. Look who's taking control. If there's a doubt, this is a Christmas movie. This very first few seconds of this clip should show no doubt.
Silent night.
It can't.
We're gonna wait.
We can't.
Stinks. Hey, Raj, you look younger.
All right, so rewatching the full clip that Luke and I just watched, we just noticed a huge continuity.
And I've never noticed it before until you just pointed it out.
So for us, we're talking about the captain. We open up the scene. He's talking to the shrink. They're talking about, is Riggs playing for psycho pension, or is he actually suicidal? And the captain is wearing, would you say that's a blue?
Dark blue tie and a dark blue suit jacket and a white shirt.
Yes. And then the next time we see the captain, he's now coming in from the left and giving Roger let's just call it a compliment. And he's now in a white shirt with a blue or light blue sweater vest and a light blue tie.
Yeah. I thought it was a yellow tie.
Was it yellow?
Yeah. It was like, it was it's just, I've never noticed it though, because you're not, at the time, I guess, like movies are, you're looking at his face instead of.
Let's call it a tan tie.
Tan, okay.
Back, and here. So, what happens after this?
Well, so in that scene there, Roger says one of his famous lines that he says all the time after Riggs flips him over.
The very first time.
Stuff, I'm too old for this. And they use that line throughout the rest of them. All the time, You know, that's his go-to line. So
No, it absolutely is.
yeah.
I keep thinking about Lethal Weapon 4 just because now both of them are using that line.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is going to be the first time we see both Mr. Joshua and General, I believe you have his name.
Oh crap. Gosh.
Luke on the spot.
I know. Now I'm like, what was the general? Oh man.
See, every time I think about this, I think of National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon.
Oh, General McAllister.
Because you've seen Loaded Weapon, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Remember what the general's name was?
I don't. Not in Loaded. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time.
It's so obvious. It's stupid. It's General Motors.
General Motors. It was so obvious. It was stupid.
Oh,
So this really gives depth and a little background on McAllister, but really, if you look at the McAllister character, he's really two-dimensional.
Yeah.
It's the classic kind of 70s, 80s. He's the big bad guy boss, and you don't really need to flush him out that much.
Yeah.
His dialogue is so deadpan.
Yeah.
Gets a little better in the middle of the film, but the way he's interrogating Ed Ross's character, you wish to do a purchase with us?
I know.
You want to do a purchase? Okay. I just watched you light a guy's arm on fire almost.
Yeah.
Which.
Well, I remember seeing that when I was way younger and thinking, holy cow, like sitting there burning his arm. I mean, I thought that was pretty intense when I was younger. And I mean, because I remember playing with a lighter and moving your hand back and forth over the flame and thinking you were all tough. And I'm like, and then you see that scene and it's like, oh my God.
Well, if you really pay attention close to that, you can tell that it's just kind of smoke and mirrors.
Oh yeah, it totally is. But I mean, the thought of actually doing that,
yeah,
it's angled back, but yeah.
I'm kind of curious what kind of prosthetic they used so it wasn't smoking.
Yeah.
Because that had a little too much hair on it to be Gary Busey's arm.
Right.
So, but, if you're not really looking.
No, if you're just enjoying the movie magic and stuff, it's like, oh crap, these guys are psychos. So
I'm excited for hopefully our next movie, if we are doing the one I'm hoping for in our Christmas movie, if you catch the big oops.
Oh.
So just a little teaser for what's coming out in a couple weeks. Riggs' personality and
yeah, a lot of personality. The other thing that I noticed is he's always eating. Like Riggs is always eating something. Like
he's always,
from the
he goes super intense, and then he's like, "I'm hungry.
Yeah,
I'm going to get a snack."
Yeah.
So now, for most audience, this is the first time you've seen Riggs unhinged.
Yeah.
So.
Who are you?
Riggs, homicide.
Yes, sir. He's right over there in the air.
I'm jumping! Do you really want to jump? Do you want to? Well, then that's fine with me. Come on, let's... What do you mean?
It's those intense big eyes of Gibson there.
Yeah. It just that I'm a psycho. It's like when he just
want to go?
He flips that switch and he's like, "You want to jump? Do you? I want to.
Let's do this.
Let's do it." You know, I gotta say, like when he jumped off there, and then you don't realize at first that there's the big airbag, but once you see him land the airbag, I was like, "That looks awesome. I want to do that." So, growing up in Montana, we didn't have anybody who could do that, but we had bridges into water.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I mean, I jump off bridges and would feel like, yeah, I'm like Mel Gibson in freaking Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, I can think of like Buckhouse Bridge.
Oh yeah. Deer Creek Bridge out there in East Missoula. So I mean, there's tons of different bridges and all that stuff. But yeah, it's that same type of, you want to jump? Do you?
Did you also catch the small gaff with the handcuffs?
Yeah, where the handcuffs separate and then they go and grasp each other's hands. They're like, it's like, ching, oh wait,
I don't know why.
It's the two scenes tie together so well right there in the movie with him jumping, because in Roger's mind, why the hell would anyone jump off the building with the suspect into the airbag? It's like, and so he loses it there. All right, you really want to kill yourself? Then do it.
Yeah. And then the next scene in the movie, he's on that horrible 80s cell phone.
Oh yeah, the bag phone.
How many buttons did that thing have on that handset?
Looked like he was going to call in an airstrike or something.
Oh.
And just some other things. And so, yeah, they figure out.
And I realize it's the scene almost directly after that. That's when they start kind of grasping the bigger picture.
Right, the bigger picture. Yeah.
Let's just take a look at this. And I just love...
Is this the pool scene?
It is. So after this, Roger's appreciative of Riggs.
Right. He tells him.
Brings him home for dinner.
Well, they're still at the pool, though. He says, "You saved my life." And then I wrote it down because I thought it was important. And then Riggs goes, "I bet that hurt to say."
You have
all
no
Roger's
idea.
been doing is hammering Riggs all day, how he's a psycho and he doesn't like him and he's pissed that he's with him, and so yeah. So I thought that was pretty important. He's like, he says it, which he's trying to be, meaningful and appreciative that he saved his life, and I bet that hurt to say. So
yes, and to thank him, he takes him home to meet Trish and the rest of the family, which, as we know throughout the series, it is presumed Trish is not the greatest cook in the world.
Right. Yeah. They make that very apparent.
What's dinner? It's a brownish roast.
One thing I did like, though, what I think they were trying to do and with that scene a little bit was to show some kind of normalcy after their crazy day as cops, that still there's still this family life that he's got to come home and be dad and stuff, and and show somewhat some type of normalcy besides all of jumping off buildings, getting almost freaking killed by the pool guy, and having to deal with jumpers. And so I have a question for you about that scene.
Okay.
And I was trying to figure it out last night. When they show up to the house for dinner, aren't they both in Roger's car? It seems to me like they show up together, right? But when Riggs goes to leave, his truck's there all of a sudden. And I've always been like, where the hell does this truck come from? And he gets in his truck and he leaves, because that's when they're talking about, thanks for dinner. And he throws the beer in the can. And then they talk about, killing. And he's like, it's a cool scene because Riggs is like, I'm really good at it. And he talks about killing a guy from 1,000 yards with a 1,000-yard shot in the wind in Nam as a sniper. And he says, it's the only thing I was really good at. And I love that scene, except from I'm always like, where the hell did this truck come from?
You're right. So Due to movie magic here, I have the movie playing on the right side of my screen. So I am rewatching that scene. In fact, Roger's currently saying, "Thank you for saving my life."
Yeah.
And
I was watching it last night, and I was like, God, it seems to me like they just pull up in Roger's car and get out and go to dinner. And then all of a sudden when he goes to leave, there's Riggs's, big dually truck.
they both show up in their own vehicles.
Do they? Okay, I must have missed it last night because I was like, boy, it just, and maybe it's dark, but I was like, I thought they showed up together, but obviously I was wrong.
So, no, Roger and Riggs show up separately.
And maybe
and
that's
if you look closely now, Roger's still in the borrowed sweater vest thing.
Yeah, he is.
But Riggs is back in his street clothes.
Yeah. Well, they showed him drying it and stuff, and that at the place, the pool house or whatever. So, yeah.
But yeah, it is the first time that we see Roger and his boat.
Yeah, which progressively gets. I mean, I love boats, but his boat, he doesn't know a lot about boats, but his boats keep getting bigger and bigger as we go on through the movies. Yeah, because is it 4? He actually goes and gets kicked out.
It's the first time we see it in water.
Water, yeah, exactly.
And spoiler, it sinks.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Well, I just love how all of a sudden it feels like a switch has been flipped.
Yeah.
And Riggs isn't so crazy, even though he kind of comes up with a crazy idea. They start bouncing off of each other to see if it actually sticks.
Yeah.
And the more they talk about it, the more
it's thin,
It's thin. But they're starting to see the picture. And speaking of pictures, I know you love the smiley face.
I do. It is. It's one of my favorite things.
Let me pull that up. Yeah, it was a nice use there where Riggs steps off to the right as the paper's coming back, and then you see the final reveal.
And you see the smiley face, and I love how he says, "Have a nice day." The slogan for the the yellow-headed smiley face that you see.
And I love the little jabs he had with Trish's cooking.
Oh yeah, and then Roger, remarks like that won't get you invited to Christmas dinner.
Oh, my luck's improving every day. So after this, Trixie comes back.
Yeah.
Sort of.
We don't see her, but they're I mean, that's what they were talking about, was Trixie, and they're going to go check Trixie out.
Now, I will say, in that little beginning in banter where they said, we always presumed she was in bed with somebody else. Yeah. We always presumed it was a man. But what if it was a woman, and all of a sudden Riggs goes, okay, fine, gross.
Yeah.
That was definitely a 80s kind of reaction, because, I don't think you could have that kind of line in a movie.
No. And
today.
It's so, everything's, it's all accepted today. It was still kind of,
tabooish back then.
It was tabooish, and, that's when HIV and AIDS were still coming up, and it was just, it was so, all those kind of subjects were still kind of new and tabooish. So
yeah,
you see that now, and you're like, what? Who cares about that?
Yeah.
There's commercials on TV where there's, they show, LGBTQ people and all the stuff. It's like, so.
Yeah, as the one that comes to my mind is, ironically similar to what you just said, is that new HIV treatment drug.
Yeah, you see it all the time, and it's just like, if they showed that in the 80s, people would have freaked out. Now it's no big. I mean, my
Yeah,
daughter,
it's
it's
no
like,
big deal.
whatever. Yeah, it's no big deal. So, which
So-
I mean, it's cool how everyone's evolved. It's like, your sexual orientation is no. I mean, it is your own business. It's whatever you want. So.
So they go out to Trixie's house,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, just they're approaching the front, it blows up.
Yeah. The whole house blows up.
Convenient.
Yeah.
And then, there's a group of 4 or 5 kids playing across the street.
Little kids playing across the street. Yep. Because they're
teasing that the cops are going.
You're going to bust Dixie, because they know Dixie is not on the straight and narrow path.
So yeah, after the fire department and everybody gets there, we also learn a little bit more of Riggs' background because he found the detonator.
Yeah, and he's talking about mercury switches and the CIA and and the mercenaries. I mean, so you're really seeing. We kind of got that reveal of his special forces. Now you're really seeing how deep into special forces Riggs was.
Yes.
And still knows about all that stuff.
They go back because one of the other detectives found out one of the boys actually saw something.
Right.
And I believe that's the moment where the boys kind of made a reference to cops and African American males.
Yes. Yep, they did. And I it'd been a while since I've seen the, I watched that last night and was all going on. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, I've seen that so many different times, and all of a sudden I saw that this morning when I was watching it. I was like, wow, that is so relevant to what's happening right now in America.
Yeah.
So I think we've hit it without being too blatant here. So
yeah. Well, one thing I found interesting there when they're talking to the kid, and Riggs is like, "Oh, he's going to draw a big bird and stuff," and it's cool how Roger, who has kids, feels more comfortable talking to the kid and stuff. And then, but
even the way he was talking to the kid,
oh, like Popeye. He talked about paint. He talked about paint, like Popeye. And I thought it was cool. I was like, no, like that. And then they show the tattoo on Riggs.
And he says that's a special forces tattoo.
Yeah, it's one more thing going, Roger. He goes like, Roger, that's a special forces tattoo. And I think at that time, then they both kind of realized, oh crap, we're dealing with.
This is bigger than even what we thought.
This isn't just your local drug dealer gone bad thing and ladies of the night. This is. Yeah, there's some intense stuff going on here.
So this is the point where all of a sudden it's obviously the post-funeral.
Right.
He's now talking to his former, at this point, I don't really think you can really call them friends anymore.
No, well, and the whole thing was that, he was like, you owe me, Roger, from Vietnam, because he saved Roger's life back in Nam. When they talk about that earlier in the movie when they're at the bank. And so these were, so I think that's the only reason Roger was cutting him some slack, because he felt like he had to, because he saved his life many years ago.
Right. Now, how did nobody hear that helicopter flying that low next to the cliff?
It's LA and there's lots of helicopters? I have no idea. It makes you wonder. It just appears.
Yeah.
And Riggs is out there too and doesn't notice it. He's outside.
Right. And there's 15, 20 people sitting in folding chairs.
Right. So
Honeysuckle gets sniped from the helicopter.
Yep.
Riggs empties one or two clips?
Two clips. He fires one, and then he's way out of range and fires another one. Yeah, he's a super shot, but with that, the Beretta, you're not. I mean, he's shooting. I mean, they show the scene. He's shooting right at the helicopter. You'd have to be shooting so far up, trying to lob him in there. You know, it's.
Right.
I think it's more that he was pissed than anything, and just firing. So,
in fact, the line ends with, "Are you done?" or "Are you through?" or something along those lines.
yeah.
So,
Basically, we're done playing around. It's,
now I'm upset.
Now I'm upset. Yeah. And then, oh yeah, I think Roger says, "Now I'm upset," and then Riggs says, "You haven't seen me upset yet," or something like that. Something to that
Something
effect.
along those lines.
Something along those lines.
All right. So due to timing, I don't think I'm really going to show the rest of these clips, but I do want to talk about Riggs getting shot, and they come up with a great plan.
Yeah.
Gal that he's speaking to in this next scene, it's just funny that he says Irish, since obviously she's of Asian descent.
Right. Exactly.
So even the way he says it, there's a little chuckle at the end, so it's just meant as a joke, a little.
Yeah, as a joke.
I didn't quite understand how they knew Riggs and Murtaugh were going to be out there.
Right. That always kind of baffled me, like how they pull up and whip around and know that they're right there on that street.
Yeah.
At that time.
But it is a pivotal scene because they now think Riggs is dead because he took a pump action shotgun.
Right to the chest.
Not at point blank, but within.
Yeah, well, and it hits him and it blows him back through a glass window into a store. I mean, so it looks like he's dead. I mean, for in their perspective, they shoot him, they see him get shot in the chest, whip around, and then, well, a little bit later they call and check on it too.
Well, before we get there,
Sure.
What I caught, if I was Mr. Joshua,
Right.
wouldn't I have a police scanner with me?
Maybe they didn't have those back then.
Oh, they did.
I know they did. Well, you could go to your local Radio Shack and get one.
Okay, now you're dating yourself. And just because I may or may not have managed a Radio Shack in the early 2000s, no, I just found what happens next a little odd. Just even for that time frame, I would have expected Joshua to have a police scanner, because the next thing that comes in is a call for them to roll up on this next victim scene. And Roger's like, Central, send this off to somebody else.
Yeah, he's like, no big deal sort of thing. Like,
yeah, let somebody else
Parker
have this.
just got shot, supposedly.
Yeah. You would expect somebody to he'd be like, no, officer down and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But he's like, no, Central, send it to somebody else. Sarge, it's over by your house. And then he's like, next you're going to tell me it's a blonde young guy with dimples. How'd you know?
Yeah.
And then they all of a sudden get in the car, and instead of rolling up on that scene, they roll up on Roger's house.
That was the weird thing is, instead of going to the scene where that was, they go right to his house. So my only thought was maybe while they were driving there, they're like, oh, we already got to this scene, and he's worried because it's his daughter's boyfriend or whatever, that he goes straight to the house. I mean, as a concerned father, screw that guy. I'm going to make sure my family's okay because that's my daughter.
And that's probably where my mind went.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they arrive, there's a note in the door.
Yeah.
Saying you got a very nice daughter.
Yeah.
And Riggs basically comes up with the idea that when they find out where the meeting is, he's going to be out there with a long gun. Yeah,
it's definitely a sniper rifle that he's got, But, one thing that bothers me about the scene when they they go to the next scene where they're driving out there, and he drops Riggs off, and Riggs is supposed to be special forces, yet
he's not in a ghillie suit.
I know. I wrote down. Why is his ghillie suit? He's running out there in his jeans and stuff. I'm like, and they got a helicopter. I'm like, of course they're gonna see you. I'm like, come on, you're a sniper, special forces. That was one thing that bothered me. I'm like, you should have a ghillie suit or just some type of, tan
even
clothing.
camo.
Yeah, something tan to blend in with the desert there. Instead,
Not
it's
blue jeans and a blue jacket.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah.
So, but I do love that scene because Roger's trying to play chicken with.
Well, he is, and you can tell he's losing it now because you got my daughter. If that was me, I'd be losing my shit too. It'd just be, and he's got his grenade out there, and
which we find out is just a smoker.
Yeah.
Which looks funny because it is. I'm guessing it was a training.
Yeah.
Smoke grenade, because almost every smoke grenade I've ever seen is more of the cylinder smoke grenades.
Yeah, that's my guess. Is some kind of trainer or something, but. I thought it was interesting as soon as he throws it, and then some people are starting to get shot. What does Mr. Joshua say? Riggs. He just knows immediately that that they didn't kill him because there's only, and it's kind of cool in a respect way almost. There's only one guy who can be making shots like that, and they can't see him. It's Riggs.
Right, and then McAllister somehow sneaks up on Riggs.
Yeah, and how did he know where he was going to be? That's the thing. I'm like, that kind of always.
Yeah, because
it's like, what? Even with no ghillie suit and all that, unless of course the helicopter did see him, but why wouldn't they tell him sooner before he started wasting all their guys? I don't know.
Well, obviously the helicopter did some kind of swoop around.
Right. They do, yeah.
But we don't see it land. So, again, how did McAllister get there?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just out there somehow. Yeah. It's a big hole.
And he's wearing that headset.
Members only jacket and the headset sort of thing.
Yeah. It was a little like, why?
Yeah. Well, I guess they had to capture everybody, and so they just went, we'll just do it this way. No. They won't notice. It's a quick scene. We'll just move on,
And I do like the little bit of respect that he goes, like, you're not that fast or something.
Yeah. The banter, a little banter between McAllister and Riggs, talking about, I like how he's like, yeah, I met a few you Shadow Company pussies back in the war or something. He's still talking trash to him about Shadow Company, but that was kind of cool too.
Yeah.
As they're walking back. So
then we finally see him being interrogated, and they got him separated.
Right.
Riggs, I don't know. Is this a respect thing, you think, between the Shadow Company and Riggs, that he's the one getting shock treatment? And Murtaugh's just getting salt to the wounds.
Literally getting punched and stuff. I think it almost felt like the Murtaugh thing was more of like what you'd see in a mafia thing, they're punching you and you got you tied to the chair.
Well, they know that.
Well, I think they know in the room special forces too, and so it's like, he's a special forces guy, so he gets special treatment, I guess.
Well, they even make reference, if he knew anything, he would have told us by now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, I wrote that down. I wrote, you can tell Mr. Joshua respects Riggs, actually, because of that. Because he's like, Endo's like, if he knew anything, he'd talk by now. And he's just like, badass soldier, huh?
Exactly.
So I mean, there's a respect level that Joshua has for Riggs because of his special forces and his talent and stuff.
Right. So, well, you just brought up his name, so let's show our favorite goon.
Goon of the 80s. Of the
80s, early 90s. And
Well, one thing about that scene too, we got our favorite henchman, Endo, the guy who plays Endo. He's in all these movies as like the token henchman guy. But there's a line that Riggs says that I've always liked for some odd reason at the end there. He goes, "What did one shepherd say to the other? Let's get the flock out of here."
I know.
And I just love that line. Like, I remember actually saying that in school once and getting in trouble because they didn't think I said flock. They thought I said something else. And I'm like, no, I said flock. And they're like, no, you didn't. And I was like, yeah, I did. So, I don't know. That's always been one of those lines that I thought was funny and it cracked me up. And, you know.
Well, immediately after I heard that today, Back to the Future comes to my mind.
Oh, yeah.
With make like a tree and leaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just.
I love cheesy kind of one-liner jokes. Like, and it was it fit well right there, you know, I thought. And so I've always enjoyed that little line. So.
No, I love that line myself. So I'm glad you brought it up. But yeah, you can definitely see Riggs' training here.
Yeah.
In the way he escapes, rescues Roger.
Yeah. I mean, able to handle the torture. I mean, special forces guys are taught to be able to get out of situations.
Resist.
Yeah. And yeah.
I love the line. I don't have it written down, but they're all right after your line. They're going down the hallway, and Riggs just can tell there's somebody right above him. Shoots him. It's a blonde guy. Is it Joshua?
Yeah.
No. And he's like, great. Still got to get him.
Yeah. Still got to get him. Well, then they separate.
Right. They get through the
damn
and that's the funny part. They get on the street. Riggs is chasing him down. His shirt's half open.
Well, at first I thought he was pulling a Die Hard and didn't have shoes on and was running. But
I
then
thought the same thing, but no, he has shoes.
Yeah, he's got shoes on. Because I was kind of watching for that again, and I was like, because I can't remember. And then I noticed he does have, like, sneakers on. So
right. And I like how the beat cop comes up to Murtaugh, and he's like, I got a badge in my pocket. Take care of the girl.
Yeah.
And the beat cop's like, yes, sir.
Yeah, just, okay, yes, sir. All right, yeah.
Show me it, you know. Yeah. But again, this is
just, we got to get rid of his daughter real quick so he can go after General McAllister, you know.
Yeah, I love how he's running out of steam as he turns the corner and yells, "Riggs, cut over on 3rd Street. You'll get ahead of him."
Oh yeah.
And then that's roughly when Roger does his lone gunman takedown of the general.
Yeah.
With his whole cocking the neck.
Yeah, where he does his head cock thing which again they keep in other movies.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of his thing. You know when he does that, he's
about to do a one-shot wonder.
Yeah, his one-shot wonder. In which he doesn't actually shoot General McAllister. He shoots the driver.
He shoots the driver.
Yeah.
McAllister reaches over. It was wacky even watching.
Yeah. Well, I wrote a note down here. I was like, why were there so many grenades?
Just in the back seat.
They flip over and there's grenades everywhere. I'm like, holy cow.
Just as he's getting in, he pulls a grenade out, sticks it in his pocket. All right, let's get out of here. Open the door. Why do you need a grenade to go out in LA evening traffic?
Yeah, I was just like, God, there's a lot of grenades in this movie.
And then I love the fact, he gets out, splat on the bus.
Yeah, the bus from Speed.
No, different number. I looked. It's not the 2525. But Joshua gets away. Riggs returns what seems like moments after McAllister's sedan blows up.
Blows up, yeah.
And did you catch the line he told Murtaugh there?
Wasn't it like I lost him or something, or I can't remember exactly.
Don't breathe this in. You'll see funny monkeys or something. Flying monkeys.
Oh. I guess I missed that one.
Just some random thing. I think it might have been flying monkeys, so you know, a nod to Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And then they realize, oh wait, Joshua knows where Murtaugh lives.
Right.
Which we see Joshua roll up on the scene, and there's two cops watching the house.
Watching the house, yeah.
So you see this Audi just slowly rolling up, rolls down the window. Why is the one cop stepping out of the car?
Yeah, I don't know.
B, Joshua shoots the driver, and all of a sudden the car takes off and runs into a hydrant.
Yeah, I right.
They were parked.
Conveniently, the car goes and runs into a fire hydrant, spraying water everywhere.
It makes for a great scene like 2 minutes later.
Well, yeah, I was like, they're just really trying to be dramatic here. Like, oh man, you know.
Yeah, and then Joshua kills the other cop. So here's my question: who put the note on the tree?
I'm assuming Roger did.
But how did Roger get there?
No, I mean, like, I'm assuming like before he left. I don't know. I was thinking before they left to go to the desert, you know, because they found that note when he was there, and so he obviously. I mean, well, here's my thought: is he went, okay, ship all my family somewhere else, you know, and I'll put this there in case, you know. I was like, okay, because you know they know where we live now. Taking my family, we're gonna put them in a safe house. I'll put this note on the tree in case the bad guys show up. That's the only thing I can think of. It's a cool note because I think the note's awesome. He's like, "Dear bad guys, no one here but cops." You know, it's like, and then they have the Scrooge scene playing in the background, and it's like, "What day is it? What day is it?" It's the end of Christmas Carol, and Joshua turns and he's like, "Effing Christmas," you know. And he's, again, another reference to Christmas, and he shoots the TV.
And that's when Riggs conveniently runs the now empty cop car through the front window.
Yeah.
Which, again, I'm like, knowing police procedure, even as a layman, if you have a slain officer in the car, you have to leave him there until the crime scene guys have cleared the scene.
Yeah.
But again, this is for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
They run the car, the gas pedal's held down by the nightstick.
Yeah.
Joshua opens the door, sees the nightstick, and all of a sudden here's Rig telling him Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And he could have just arrested him right there.
Right.
Movie's over. Got you. Arrested you.
It could have been.
Instead, badass MMA fight. Instead, we get a badass
this
MMA fight.
Great final fight scene.
Yeah. With fire hydrant flowing everywhere. I mean, it's I love it. It's an awesome scene.
Now, how bad is this? When the other cops arrive on the scene, Murtaugh's like, "I'm Sergeant Murtaugh. This man just killed a couple of our officers." I didn't even think about the two beat cops.
Yeah.
I'm like, who did he kill?
Yeah.
Because I was like,
this is Riggs' arrest. I'll take all blame here and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I love this scene just because it is so dramatic. It's at night. The hydrant going. It's muddy. It's messy. It's just.
Well, and it ends cool. You know, he's sitting there, he's got him like kind of this arm bar, and then Riggs shows mercy. He stops all of a sudden. He's like, "You're not worth it," you know. And
Right.
lets Joshua down.
And then it takes 3 beat cops to start to pick Joshua up.
Yeah.
And Joshua grabs one of the guns out of the holster.
Right.
And in unison, not perfect syncing, but unison, both Riggs and Murtaugh do a quick draw and goodbye, Mr. Joshua.
Mr. Joshua.
So I just love how this movie basically does end theatrically.
Yeah.
With Riggs showing up. It's obviously Christmas evening.
And right before that, he goes to his wife's grave and kind of has closure with that whole thing, where he puts the flowers down and, you know.
Okay, yeah, he does have his.
I think that's important because of that whole that battle throughout the movie he had with the suicide and all that, you know, and
yeah, and he made reference that the only thing driving him right now is the job.
Right, is the job.
So he shows up, knocks on the door, Rhiannon answers and says, "I got a gift for your dad," and hands her the bullet, and she's like, "It's a bullet. Your dad will understand because
he knows. Yeah,
he knows what that bullet's for."
Yeah, he knows what that bullet's for, and I don't need it anymore. Which is, you know, it shows that he's progressed and he's, you know, and I think it shows that they've come together as partners, you know, in the film, and
absolutely,
and there's this whole trust factor now after everything they've been through. So
the funny part of that scene is Roger comes out, says, "You think I'm going to have the worst holiday dinner by myself coming in?" And Riggs says, "Mind if I bring a friend?"
Yeah.
No. He whistles, and his dog comes out of the truck.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but I don't leave my car door open.
Okay, I wrote that down too. I go, the dog gets out of the truck, and he leaves the door open. And he goes, I'm like, the door's still open to your truck. You know, I was like,
I wouldn't even do that here.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as I'm home unloading the groceries,
well,
I'm right back out and I'm getting my door shut.
And generally, too, your dome light comes on.
Exactly.
And stay on. So it's like, even in an older dually like he's got, that dome light's on usually if your door's open.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That obviously that truck doesn't have a dome light because it never comes on.
No, it never comes on. Yeah.
So.
And then the movie ends right there with "I'll be home for Christmas."
Well, it does.
Because this is a Christmas movie.
Unless you look at this. And that is the alternate ending.
I'd never seen that. I like the ending they chose better. I'm glad they did that. But, you know.
Well, that was one of the things of the
cheesy.
80s. I can think of a couple other movies where they had alternate endings.
Yeah. There's, you know what, you're right. I think about it, and there's a lot of these, if you get director's cut or certain DVDs, they have the alternate ending that they had on there because they had, you know, I think that maybe they did this, maybe they didn't. They probably tested them to see what audiences like, because they used to have test audiences and stuff. I don't know if they still have that.
They still do.
Yeah, where they test it and see, you know, what people like the most, because it's kind of cheesy, and then they give the, yeah, all right, you know, the 80s.
Yeah, and that cheesy grin on Murtaugh's face right there at the end, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But, you know, as much as I love these movies, the stars of these movies love each other as well. So just for fun, I have one last thing to show you.
All right.
kind of a fun way to end this.
That was cool. I'd never seen that interview, but it's cool to see that they were all like, especially like Mel and Danny Glover were both friends, you know?
Yeah.
So, and Rene Russo, they were all friends, it sounded like, you know? So,
once you're in the Lethal Weapon family, you're family.
yeah.
And so, well, Luke, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me on this one, and I'm looking forward to our next one very soon.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me back, and it is my pleasure as well.
All right.
And like I said, Lethal Weapon's a Christmas movie.
If we haven't convinced you of that by now,
I don't think anybody can. So,
all right. Well, we'll see you guys soon. Happy holidays.